Daredevil is, in a lot of ways, Marvel's Batman, patrolling Hell's Kitchen, unleashing some good old-fashioned street-level vigilante justice. But here's the question: how would Daredevil do if you took Matt and placed him in the streets of Gotham City instead? How would Daredevil do against Batman's famous rogues gallery? Let's find out. Born in Hell's Kitchen in New York, Matt Murdock was blinded by a radioactive toxin while trying to save another man's life. But while he lost the sense of sight, all his other senses were heightened to a superhuman degree, giving him his signature radar sense. From there, Matt grew up and dedicated his life to protecting the innocent, becoming a lawyer by day and the famous street-level vigilante Daredevil by night. And Daredevil definitely is superhumanly strong. I mean, sure, he's still technically just a human, but right off the bat, Matt is regularly shattering metal, breaking it apart with his bare hands. This is light work for Matt Murdock. He's also regularly breaking apart bricks and concrete with his attacks, and he's really no stranger to just lifting heavy things either. Daredevil has been able to flip over a stretched limo with just brute strength. Or what about the time when he picked up a 400-pound barbell, started just swinging it around like a bow staff? That's seriously impressive. And I really think Daredevil's strength is best summarized with just the fact he's able to beat down Kingpin. Kingpin is the same guy who's been able to overpower the likes of Spider-Man and Captain America, and Daredevil can beat him. Matt is stupid strong. He's also crazy tough. I mean, Daredevil is the son of battling Jack Murdock. He's known how to take a punch since he was just a kid and get back up swinging. I mean, forget just taking beatings from regular criminals or some semi-powerful characters. Daredevil has straight up taken hits from the Hulk before. That's like the upper limits of his toughness right there. He's regularly been able to survive explosions, being burned alive, being hit with serious bolts of electricity, and most of the time, Daredevil doesn't just take the attack and still remain standing, but he keeps on fighting, and oftentimes still wins the fight. The man is just insistent on never going down and never stopping. And while he is weak to sonic attacks and a powerful enough sound wave can knock him out, it's not an instant KO. In fact, oftentimes Daredevil has proven that he can fight through it and take out the bad guy, even if he's in extreme pain or if his radar sense is knocked out. But where Daredevil really thrives is with speed and agility. In fact, if it wasn't for Spider-Man, well, I would argue that Daredevil is the most agile character in Marvel. He's also one of the fastest street-level heroes too. His agility is just absolutely off the charts. He's even had better reactions than Spider-Man and Captain America from time to time. And bullet dodging is just absolutely easy for him. He can dodge point-blank bullets. He does this regularly too. Just make it look easy. And he's not just able to dodge bullets after they've already been fired, but the man is regularly deflecting bullets too, just swatting them back with his baton. And he's done it so many times that you can kinda say he's the best at it. But here's the thing, Daredevil is also one of the best and most skilled fighters in Marvel too. Like, he's fought against some of the most skilled martial artists in Marvel. Bullseye, Elektra, Karnak, and he's beaten all of them. He's also regularly been tested by the Hand, other gangs of assassins. In fact, there's the infamous feat of Matt Murdock, not Daredevil, beating 100 armed Yakuza members, half of whom are hopped up on MGH and strong enough to punch through a human. Matt won that fight in 3 minutes. And I don't think anyone is better at nerve strikes and pressure points than Daredevil. Matt is one of the few fighters who consistently uses nerve strikes in pretty much every fight, and some of them are seriously painful and dangerous. They're able to completely bypass durability and leave some pretty powerful and tough opponents just lying crippled on the floor. Then last but not least, well, Daredevil has his superhuman radar senses. And with that radar sense, well, Matt pretty much becomes dang near omniscient to a certain degree. He can sense everything going on around him. He can smell your blood pressure rising, hear the faintest heartbeat, and it actually allows him to sort of predict the future a bit. Because of his senses, Daredevil regularly is able to react to something before it actually happens, all because he can sense it was going to happen before it ever did. While it would be fun to see Two-Face and Daredevil debate in terms of law in the courtroom, no doubt about it, Daredevil is crushing Two-Face every single time in a fight. Actually, in a fight or in the courtroom. No doubt about that, Matt is taking this with ease, obviously. Same with the Penguin. At best for Oswald Cobblepot, well, he's just a weaker and lesser version of Kingpin, Daredevil's main enemy. Daredevil has plenty of experience facing down gangsters. He's gonna leave the Iceberg Lounge completely trashed the second he steps foot in there. Now, the Riddler obviously doesn't pose any kind of physical threat to Daredevil, but it might be the more intellectual villains that can give Matt some trouble. But Riddler is always holding back his true intelligence by leaving riddles in the first place. And Matt is smart enough to solve them. He might not be the world's greatest detective, but he might be the world's greatest lawyer. He might not solve all of the Riddler's riddles as quickly as Batman, but he should be solving them all the same. Catwoman is another easy win for Daredevil, because as good as Selina is, Elektra is better, and we've seen how a fight between Daredevil and Elektra goes time and time again. Heck, we've seen Elektra and Catwoman go at it in a Marvel DC Comics crossover. If Elektra can beat Catwoman like that, then Daredevil is beating her even easier. It's debatable whether or not Deadshot even still counts as a Batman villain, but no doubt about it, he goes up against Daredevil and he's losing. In my opinion, Bullseye holds an edge in a lot of areas over Deadshot, and Daredevil's had no problem going against him time and time again. Daredevil can easily dodge everything that Deadshot throws his way. He's arguably the most agile hero in Marvel, and again, has no problem dodging in fights with Bullseye. And as soon as Matt gets up close and personal, well, Floyd just doesn't have the hand-to-hand skills to last in a fight against Daredevil. The League of Assassins are better than the Hand when it comes to planning and trying to take over the world, to the point where Batman sometimes even needs help stopping them. But just the average straight up ninja, well, Daredevil has no problem with that. He's easily beaten every hand ninja that comes his way, and the same thing is going to happen with League of Assassins ninjas. Now, Killer Croc can be wildly inconsistent at times, so there could be moments where Croc just stomps Daredevil. But other times where Daredevil has fought against people who are stronger than Croc and more skilled than Croc, still managed to beat them. Now, Croc is a ferocious opponent. He's really tough with his reptilian skin, and Daredevil could get seriously injured in the fight if he doesn't stay on his toes. But Matt should still come out on top more often than not, especially assuming that his nerve strikes and pressure points can work on Killer Croc, just like they do on every other super tough character. Yeah, Daredevil is called the man without fear for a reason. He's managed to overcome literal fear gas before, and outside of that would be able to power through everything that Scarecrow can throw his way. And once Daredevil gets through Scarecrow's fear gas, well, there's no way for Matt to lose. Let me tell you, Clayface would be nearly impossible for Daredevil to beat, because Matt just doesn't carry nearly the amount of gear that Batman does. It's usually always Batman's gear that allows him to beat Clayface. Daredevil just can't reasonably punch Clayface near enough times to actually beat him in a fight. And while you can say that Daredevil would eventually get some gear or come up with some strategies to beat Clayface, there's no doubt about it. Clayface would be one of the hardest villains on this list for Murdock to take down. Here's another really tough villain for Daredevil to beat. But it does depend on what version of Bane you're talking about. Like if it's Bane, who's just a big, dumb, super strong brute, well, Daredevil can beat him. Daredevil can outskill him and take him down via nerve strikes, completely overcoming Bane's Venom amp. But if Bane is at his best, well, he's a guy who can beat all up on Batman. That's a very hard ask for Daredevil. Now, Daredevil is a very, very skilled fighter, and his nerve strikes and pressure points are pretty OP. But this fight at best is a near 50-50 fight. Bane's a tough villain to take out. Deathstroke, he's beating Daredevil more often than not, because Daredevil's good, while Deathstroke is better. Deathstroke outstats Daredevil pretty much every way, literally being a superhuman. He's also arguably a better fighter too. Now, you can argue that Daredevil technically outskills Deathstroke, but that's just so countered by Slade actually trying to kill Matt in every fight they have. Deathstroke is a threat to whole superhero teams. He's gonna be too much for Matt to regularly handle just on his own. Yeah, Daredevil isn't beating Poison Ivy. Matt Murdock, he has a problem with the ladies, so hard to see him getting past Ivy in that way. It's also hard to see Daredevil getting around Poison Ivy's pheromones and manipulation. You could argue Daredevil gets lucky, takes Ivy out from a distance with a good baton throw, but this just isn't a good fight for Matt. Ivy wins more often than not. Joker, he's a really hard one, because Daredevil would beat Joker in a fight, while Joker could definitely destroy Daredevil and ruin Matt's life. That's for sure. And it's really Joker's unpredictability that would put Daredevil through the ringer. You take away Batman's experience with the Joker, and Batman probably has a very hard time with Joker too. But it's also just as likely that Joker just gets bored with Daredevil and doesn't want to play with him, allowing Daredevil to beat him, and then Joker moving on to the next hero in the next city. So, how would Daredevil do in Gotham? Well, he should do pretty well. In a lot of ways, Daredevil and Nightwing are near equals, and Nightwing has no problem holding his own against the worst that Gotham can throw at him. But I don't think Daredevil would actually do better than Batman. He just doesn't have the gear or the resources or the intellect to actually clean up the streets of Gotham for good. But yeah, in terms of just holding his own against the city, Daredevil is more than a match for the most part.